It's been 102 episodes. It's maybe time to switch it up a little bit. If you listened to Simplified, you heard me do what can only be described as like a shitty haiku version of introductions, and people actually liked it a lot. It was a lot of fun. So this episode, I've tried just shortening them and making them a little bit more to the point. I might do some fun stuff over the next few weeks. I didn't want to give people too much shock, so these ones are just a little bit more direct, especially because we have so many repeat panelists. You don't need to hear, the entire bio every time. So I'm gonna shorten these ones a little bit, starting, of course, with the man himself. He's the rare kind of killer who can make you to laugh while he's cursing you out. He's got a heart of gold wrapped in a leather jacket, and he makes his mark by dancing on the edge of what's proper while never losing sight of what matters. The advisor of Team Liquid, the prince of poker, and the titan of taboo. It's Senjin.
Happy Lunar New Year's, everyone, and let's enjoy the show.
Happy Lunar New Year, big dog. Up next. Oh, that guy's not here. Okay, up next, this guest is a bodybuilding, button mashing, Balatro bashing behemoth. He's the bane of Bowser, the master of Marth, and from Stardust to Avalanche. Welcome to the panel. The wise beyond his years, it is Wills.
See, I think the less words allow you to cook with more intensity in these intros, and I'm loving it so far.
Wills, we're 2 for 2 so far. You love to hear it. This Nintendo ninja is now a Yumio yogi who says, forget Mario and Luigi. This maestro of machine learning is teleporting your very own characters across titles. A visionary who's vaporizing the boundaries between the real and the ridiculous. It's the multiversal magician who's luring you into limbo. It's Michael O'Connor.
Nice one, Sam. Thanks for the lovely intro. Yeah, short, snappy, love it. Great to be here.
Great to have you back. Thanks for making time for us, brother. And up next, from battling blazes to building brands, he's a champion of the curveball, a jovial jester, and a connoisseur of controversy. He's the golden god of gamified. The man with the Midas touch is Jerry, the golden god singer.
Hey, Sam, I will hit you back with a short and snippy thing, and I would say that would be cacio e pepe. You know, you can cook a great thing with a couple ingredients, cheese and pepper, baby. And I'll leave you with my famous slogan, "Let's go, boys!"
What the fuck just happened? Am I the only person that's woefully confused? I'm Italian, and I'm pretty sure that was for me, but I have no idea what the fuck he just said.
You can
Cacio
cook
e
a lot
pepe.
with less.
Is that Italian? Am I right? Am I in the vicinity?
Yes.
You need to get
got it.
educated on that
Yeah.
topic, Rich, brother.
Fucking, you got to get familiar, bro. I was happy, and then now I'm pissed off again.
Yo, this guy doesn't know what cacio e pepe is? Come on, Sam.
Well, come on. To be fair, like Fresco, that was like I don't think I've ever heard you say that catchphrase either. You're just like making shit up on the spot.
Listen.
Yeah, that was. Who knows? Who knows? I'm still not sure.
Joke, Jerry. I got the joke.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's start a new space. Me,
Dude.
Koji, and Knock. We're out.
Koji would fucking agree with your like nonsensical bullshit just to throw me off at the beginning of a show. I still can't trust it. Till I have time to Google. Up next, he's the intellectual influencer who's not just illuminated over 100 episodes of these shows, but ignited a passion for learning and leadership in every listener. He's the RuneScape rogue, the king of charisma. It's Knock.
Over 100 episodes of these shows, and I still get rugged every fucking time. I've had to leave this show twice already, and we're 7 minutes in. Hopefully, I don't have to do it again.
Big shout out to Elon and all the progressive changes he's always making. We're proud of you. Up next, this one is the one I think I'm the most excited for. This co-founder of Game 7 isn't just a Web3 warlock. He's a Dota demigod who traded triple kills for triple entry bookkeeping. He's the cash flow king behind Norris Capital and SF Blockchain Week, and he's using that foundation to build a digital nation. He only goes on rampages in 2 places, Dota and this panel, and I don't see him on Steam right now. It's Stephen Chen.
Thank you so much, Sam. Feel like only my intro didn't get shorter, bro. Got to work on that. But yeah, thanks for having me back. Excited for this.
I couldn't help myself once I started putting Dota in there. I was like, okay, it could be a little longer. It could be you can cook a little bit more. Up next, he's the rock star who turned tech titan from card creations to wayfinding the future. This co-founder of Parallel is revolutionizing on multiple fronts at the same time. Despite all this, unfortunately, he's much worse at Binding of Isaac than I am. It's the cliffhanging Koji Nagata.
Hey, thanks, Sam. I thought your illustrious alliterations might suffer because of the shorter intros, but they're coming through clearly. And you've also exposed yourself. Clearly, you don't listen to what we say when we respond to the intros because Fucking Tony is the guy who always says, "Let's go, boys." Come on.
I I feel like you guys are colluding behind my back. Is there a group chat that I'm not in?
Dude,
What is
I think
happening?
I think he went to the desert and he went to the forest and did ayahuasca and came back a different person.
Yo,
He's just been a hater ever since he went on that retreat to Costa Rica. You know, all of a sudden.
no, am I high? Like Tony says it every intro.
Yeah, I thought
No,
that's
you're
why
right.
I thought that's why it would be funny, but then nobody got it.
I got it now that Koji pointed it out, but I did not get it at all when you said it, Jerry.
Well, we just got a 500 Pengu tip on Abstract from the Abstract Creator Program. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Up next, from LAN parties in the 90s that make DreamHack look like Chuck E. Cheese and stacking GPUs and milk crates to mine digital gold. Now he's building Star Atlas, the most ambitious game in all of Web3. Welcome to the panel. It's the Sultan of Cycles. It's from Star Atlas. It's Michael Wagner.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good to be here.
I tripped over I got tongue twisted whenever I realized Michael Wagner was on the panel. I was like, oh my god, somebody finally somebody I respect. No, I'm just kidding. I respect all you guys. I love you guys. I love you guys. I love you guys. This is just a joke. Up next, this blockchain baron has been building bridges and breaking barriers in the Web3 world, fueling the fires of on-chain everything, notably Friendtech, Coinbase, and B3, leading the way in American crypto. From NPC Labs, please welcome the Oracle of the on-chain. It's Daryl, the deal maker. Shoo.
Damn, that was the best intro anyone's ever given me. I'm a big UFC maxi, and I feel like that was very, Bruce and Michael Buffer-esque. So Sam, if Web3 gaming isn't actually inevitable, I feel like you have a second career as a ring announcer, man.
Dude, I am a diehard UFC fan, and Bruce Buffer is actually like one of my heroes in life. So you have no idea how much that means to me. Thank you, Daryl. You have officially made my day. Everyone can leave the panel now except for Daryl. We're gonna hang out for a little bit. No, thanks, man. That's awesome. Great to have you too. I appreciate you making time for us. Last but not least, of course, leaping from the lush depths of the Lizard Labs, it's the lean green space hosting machine, weighing in at a whopping 2.4 pounds. Put your claws together for the little lizard legend himself. It's Lems.
GM, it's good to be here. What's up, everyone? Hanging out on Abstract. Hopefully, you can hear me and my audio isn't like listening to a cup on a string or whatever Knox said earlier.
Yeah, knock with the cup on a string reference for Lems's microphone. Unfortunately, the thumbs up win. Jonah Blake now a part of the conversation. Great to have you, Jonah. Nice to have you on here. I wish I had a better introduction for you, but
The
everybody knows who you are.
vigilante villain who's vandalizing. I was trying to figure out more similes. I couldn't do it.
Damn.
As long as you start off his intro with, I know he's controversial, but
Yeah, every time. I know Jonah's a piece of shit, but really, he made me a lot of money.
All right, well, real quick, prepare for a cryogenic kickoff with a colossal shout out to our cutting edge comrades, the official chain of Gamified. That's right, it's Avalanche. These Sub Zero savants recently announced an $100 million AI fund, and they also brought Call of Duty world champion Scump off the grid with his new in-game skin. They're not just architects; they're the blockchain blizzard. They're the Frost Forge foundation for the future of finance in our official chain of Gamified. You love to see it. And of course, this next product is bending the rules and building bridges between blockchain and glorious gameplay. They're the architects of awesome, making products like Summon, the magic formula that keeps players coming back for more. Hyperplay, the portal for instant Web3 access, but without the funless friction, and World Builder, the sandbox where in game economies are engineered to perfection. These ultimate tools for creators enable game changing growth by making Web3 gaming more accessible, more engaging, and more fun than ever before. And of course, attention all astronauts and asteroid aficionados, get ready to blast off with Star Atlas, the official game of Gamified, and its sensational preseason spectacular. Soon you'll be able to plunge into a galaxy of captivating content, explore exotic exoplanets, engage in exhilarating expeditions, and experience the evolution of gaming graphics that'll redefine the cosmos. Get a game key to preseason right now by joining the Star Atlas Discord and enjoy the official game of Gamified. We're jumping in with topic number one, bullish or bullshit on Abstract, the consumer chain. Yes, I recognize how awkward it is that I'm currently streaming to Abstract. With that being said, though, this one was inspired by Moritz, everybody's favorite yapper on the timeline, who had a post with the Abstract ecosystem app saying, quote, I'm a bit surprised by the gaming sector for Abstract. He said, most of the anticipated games seem to be quite high stakes, degenerate games. unquote. He's highlighting that it doesn't really fit the consumer chain narrative by saying, but he's still saying he's bullish and that there's product market fit for these games, just that it's a mismatch with, you're either catering to consumers or you're catering to degens. He also points out in a reply that there are some non-degen games being built on Abstract, but the spotlight seems to be on the degen ones. So bullish or bullshit on Abstract as the consumer gaming chain, and sort of if their marketing is lining up here. Koji, over to you, bud.
I mean, bullish. I don't know about as the consumer gaming chain, but just as a plan, right? Because like right now, the consumer gamer doesn't know who they are. But you know who does know who they are? The fucking degenerates who exist in this space who just love to, you know, gamble on nonsense. And I'm not suggesting that everything they're building is gambling on nonsense, but like appeal to the base you have currently while you build for the base you want. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, you know, meet people where they are for now and expand. It's a I don't see how that goes wrong, especially because we all love a little degeneracy. Even me, even the guy who rails against it every single episode of this show. You know, I like a little gamble here and there.
So it sounds impermanent, right? You can have it sort of both ways. Lean into the degen stuff now. Maybe you lean into the consumer stuff a little bit later. Let's tag in Knock next, and we'll go to Jerry.
I think what Koji said is a piece of that is really simple, but I think incredibly important and something that tons of teams miss out on. Like you have to meet users where they are. There's this like obsession in this space with building for the mass market consumer, the Web3, the Web2 normies, people who will come in, retail will come and save us. All of that is great, and you can build products with the intention that at some point down the line, you're going to reach those consumers. But if you aren't around long enough for those consumers to get here, it doesn't matter if you spend $10 million that you've raised building a product for people who won't show up for another year. You've got to figure out a way to create an audience, build up a community, create economic activity on what is a brand new blockchain. And I think the way that they've done it by tapping into games that are maybe a little more degen focused, that are quicker to spin up, that have a bunch of founders that people are already behind. People love Scarly. People love Dith. We're very excited about Gigaverse and OCH. I think that it fits the narrative well. These are games that are top of mind. They're games that fit the type of person who is here, who is actively participating in Web3, and they'll be able to parlay that into, the more quote unquote consumer games somewhere down the line. But if they don't do this now, then it's going to be a dead blockchain for the next 12 to 18 months, and that's not conducive to business. So I think that this is a good way to tap into what people want to see, where the actual market is today, while building in the background for something a little more, further out.
Great take from Knock. Let's go over to Jerry.
Yeah, it's bullish, and I think like and Moritz knows better, so it's a little disappointing to like get a take from him that's like kind of so silly, but it's like if you're gonna wait to launch this like consumer chain to have like a major consumer game, you're gonna fucking wait forever. Like, they'll be sitting on testnet for 3 years before the consumer game comes, and so I think you can't necessarily launch a chain with a consumer game in mind when that game hasn't really presented itself yet. And the ones that have are kind of entrenched in where they're at, and they don't really need to go anywhere. So I think, yeah, you have to launch at some point. And you have to press go. These kind of like more degen level games are quicker to spin up and they're easier to move around, and there's fit for them with the current audience that's there, and that's what you need when you're launching one of these games. And you need to go to a chain that has like a good amount of liquidity onto it and a good amount of attention onto it. So I don't think that I think the North Star for Abstract is still obviously being a consumer chain, but, if you're gonna do that, you don't have that segment that's currently in here. Your guys' moms aren't playing crypto games yet. So, you can't launch with, like, the consumer games day one if they're not ready. So, Moritz knows better. It's a little bit of a dumb take, I think.
Damn, some spice going against the grain on Moritz. Love to hear it though. Let's go over to let's go into Lems. I think he was up next, and we'll tag in Michael O'Connor and Stephen Chen.
All right, well, perfect, because I want to push back a little bit on what Jerry had said there. Like, I think his criticism is like a fair critique to kind of like highlight, because he even says he's still bullish on the chain as a whole, and like I bullish on Abstract as a whole, but it's a little just not what you expect. And but at the end of the day, this is also marketing to crypto Twitter, where it's like a know your audience sort of thing, that you're going to be highlighting these games that are more high stakes, a little more degen, that kind of thing. But and he even says like there's some other games on there too, like Pudgy World and like Chrono Forge. He mentions a couple of other ones, but he just says like they're not taking the spotlight, and really it's because most of those games aren't really ready for it yet. So I think the critique is fair overall, just when they were framing themselves as the consumer chain. But I think it's just the fact is we don't have consumer ready games that are ready for the average person at this time. So we're just highlighting what's really going to have the attention in the short term. So overall, I still think pretty bullish on Abstract. I like the way they have the social logins and everything. I saw some like people complaining about having issues bridging and all that sort of stuff. And I think overall, that's actually more of a problem for the Web3 natives. If you were a brand new person to crypto and you were just coming from Coinbase or something, you're probably just going to do a social login. You're going to get on there pretty easy. And then, who knows? Maybe they actually like end up jumping onto some of these on-chain games because the wallet's very abstracted, so it's going to be easy for them to interact with them, even though they are fully on-chain games. So we'll see how things pan out.
Great takes from Lems. Let's go over to Michael O'Connor, then to Stephen Chen.
Yeah, I think it's excuse me. I think it's early days. So making a massive judgment call on their roster is uh, just just a little bit too early to do that. From what I've seen, there's some potentially interesting games that are coming there. The art direction looks pretty soft to me, which fits with I think some of the vision. Um, I think that we're going to see a lot more here. Let's be honest, Nuka has probably mobilized one of the most interesting kind of marketing machines inside of crypto. That whole kind of TikTok thing that he built is pretty amazing. And a lot of those games could slide into that. They've got like from what I've seen, they've got like a certain fuzziness to them, which could connect. So I would be quite positive about the situation at the moment. I think we're going to see a lot more, and I think that what's likely is you'll see Abstract begin to kind of king make a few games, whether it's games that are on their roster now or games that are going to come across. And I think when they do that and they put that marketing machine behind them, I think they'll have a formidable chance.
A couple of great comments. Sorry, I was trying to read, but I was pulling up on my phone. It keeps disappearing. We got Icy in the comments saying here for B3.fun. Shout out. Can't wait to get to Daryl's take in just a minute. Matthew Buxton saying, hoping to keep myself warm on the hot takes today. Saigo says, can we get a mud wrestling ring set up at GDC to watch Fresco? And okay, we're going to get to that later. Jorge says, here for the hot takes. I appreciate everybody chiming in the comments. Also, all the amazing people hanging out with us on Abstract. Over to Stephen Chen. Stephen, bullish or bullshit on this potential disconnect between catering to the degens, but also calling yourself a consumer chain here?
I honestly I think Abstract is really just listening to the market. And I feel like it's a lot of semantics here. Consumer is a pretty generalized term. And it's like honestly kind of a hedge too, because it can be relevant for more verticals outside of gaming, right? And let's be honest here, like the average consumer in Web3 right now, this current landscape, it's mostly degenerate gamblers. And Abstract just wants to tailor to an audience, right? So I'm bullish on that direction overall. The risk tolerance for younger generations is just going up and up. We can see it very clearly, right? I think people they're becoming more and more disillusioned with the idea of just working 50 plus years in a 9 to 5. They'd really much rather just roll the dice. And I also think that financialization of everything is pretty much inevitable. And Web3 is honestly the best horse to win that race. And I'm pretty sure everyone here thinks alike. We're all betting on crypto, right? So by looking at this trend, listening to what the market wants, you end up having games that are primarily high stakes degen games. It's not wrong anyway. Sure, you can attack Abstract here for not really changing the narrative that much, but trying to FUD them for being quote unquote a consumer focused chain. It's not a good narrative. It's just the reality we all face right now.
Great stuff from Steven. Looks like all the hands dropped down, which I know is not true. So Twitter's bugging on me. If you guys can maybe lower them and re-raise them. I know I saw Daryl from B3, and I think I saw Jonah too. Let's go over to Daryl on this one, and then we'll tag in Jonah.
Hey guys, is my mic on?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. First time logging in from the B3 account, so still getting used to this. But yeah, I feel like a ton of great points mentioned by everyone. I think, I can speak for like all of B3 when I say we're max bullish on abstract. And we're saying that because like we have firsthand experience building like a new chain and ecosystem 2 times now, and it's fucking difficult. You have to get the chain up and running. You have to make sure it's compatible with like wallets, contracts, bridges, making sure all of that works with like the builders and the games that are coming in. And so I feel like we're judging them a little bit too harshly for like a day one launch. And I feel like because of how ambitious their vision is, they're effectively building not only a chain, but also an app store, a default sign-in solution, a streaming platform, right? Like these are massive, massive products and like huge, huge undertakings. And so I generally am super bullish on like their team. And maybe just to take folks back in the day too. So when we launched Base, like day one, day seven, day 30, like we had no idea what was going to hit. And in the beginning, Bald was something that was deployed, right? Like we didn't have any idea where that came from. That was obviously a rug and that was super unfortunate. But I think people kept like believing in Jesse's vision and the culture and the foundation. And ultimately, you had really, really talented builders like FriendTech come, right? And that was like that first semi-viral moment that happened. And then obviously it led to a lot more later down the line. And so I think I'm bullish not only on Abstract, but Luca and that entire team. And yeah, you know, let's cut them some fucking slack and give credit where credit is due. I think they've built a great culture and people will come.
Love the take. Daryl already jumping in the deep end says, cut him some fucking slack. Let's go over to Jonah. Blake.
Yeah, I don't think it's bullshit. I think that Abstract doesn't have enough money yet to get a real, like, serious game on its chain. You know, and they need to show distribution. So I think they're doing everything right. I think it just takes time. If you don't have like games only want two things. They want users or they want money, and everything else is BS. Like the city of decentralization, all that. It's all a lie. They want users or they want money. So Abstract has to show that they have distribution or they have money, and that's going to take some time. I do think it was built for consumer because they're using Privy, and like it's clearly the UI is clearly set up for a Steam-like dashboard. It's trying to mimic things that people know are already in Web 2. I think that they put their best foot forward, and they're just gonna have to keep working. And I think they can get there as long as Luca doesn't have a panic attack, which he seems to be just fine.
He does seem to be holding it down. Shout out to our boy Finn. Also seems to be handling everything with grace. There's a great comment in here from Dave Schick. Dave Schick says, I think you need both. Degens stress test the chain and systems, and consumers make sure the casual games and apps work correctly. It's possible to have both. Shout out to Dave. Always love his takes in the comments. Let's go over to Knock, and then we'll probably move on from this one.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I have a hard time like listening to people shit on something like abstract launching is like it feels like it's too hyper focused on just the individual abstract launch. Like this idea that they were going to come to market with a bunch of games that were designed for my mom and my sister to play is like absurd. You've got abstract launching in the middle of a 3 to 4 week window where you're probably going to see Abstract, Barachain, Monad all go live. You're competing with an EVM compatible L1 Monad that is hyped and backed by major institutional investors. You're competing with something like Barachain that has 2 billion in TVL already locked up pre-launch for that chain. It's going to have a bunch of economic activity on it from pretty much day one. The idea that you can go to market with games for people who aren't here is just ridiculous. And I think pretending that anything else is the case is just like a lack of, touch with what's actually going on within the market. You're bringing in games that already have proven sticky communities, right? OCH people love what's going on there. Cambria is already doing like 1 million plus in total like peer-to-peer duels within that ecosystem. You've got Diff leading Gigaverse. People are paying attention to these titles and they're trying to create behavior for Abstract. It's the same reason why something like the Abstract Stream platform exists. That's not there to make Abstract a competitor to Twitch. That is losing the money. Every single person who is streaming on Abstract costs Abstract money. It's incredibly expensive to run something like that, but what it does is it allows for people to come to the platform and create behavior, create a pattern of behavior that gets them tuning into Abstract on a daily basis, watching their favorite creators stream dApps that are built native to the Abstract ecosystem. You're rewarding them with XP, you're rewarding them with badges for participating in that ecosystem. Hopefully they then play those games, and somewhere down the line, you'll see volume come in, you'll see these titles come in, you'll see the normies pay attention. But instead of fighting Bera on 2Bill and TVL, instead of fighting Monad on the institutional investors that they have, they've decided let's build for community with community by leveraging people who have already built those communities and then doing a good job of shining a spotlight on them. I think it's just absurd that anybody thinks this is anything other than, a successful launch. Yeah, there's some things here and there that were probably a little fucked up. The streaming platform doesn't work the way that I would imagine it intended to. It turns out that, the Abstract Global Wallet is probably, and not probably, but is just a privy wrapper. And I think there was maybe a little bit of an over indexing on how important that was going to be. But I think ultimately they've decided to build community, create habits, reinforce those habits, and shine a spotlight on the creators within that ecosystem. I think it's one of the most refreshing ways the blockchain has launched in a long time. And pretending like they were going to come out with Candy Crush from day one is fucking stupid.
Great takes from Knock across the board. Also, Erica in the comments says was gonna watch your Abstract stream, but they brick wall people with setting up an account to even watch. Why would they have that barrier? That's lame. I do have an account, by the way, just not on my phone. So definitely, there's a lot of room for improvement. They try to launch a lot of apps at the same time. I put a tweet out about maybe trying to launch all of this to be ready at the exact same time. Probably a recipe for at least chaos, if not disaster. I think they've actually handled it quite well, but certainly not going to be fully functional day one. Finn also had a great comment on Simplified where he was saying none of this, existed 313 days ago. I think was he was saying definitely less than a year was the statement. And I think there's two ways to read into that. One is, wow, they've made a lot of progress for 1 year, and then two would be, wow, they've only been working on this for a year and they think it's ready to go out. So depends on sort of glass half full, glass half empty, your perspective on that one. But shout out to all the progress they've made, and best of luck going forward to the Abstract lads. Let's move on with a new game mode. Okay, we're calling this one "The Price is Wrong." Insert profanity if you're a fan of Happy Gilmore like I am. A recent IGN article claims $100 would be too much for GTA 6, but the author clearly missed the memo that college football charged $100 for early access to their game and had a ton of success doing so. I think they sold like 2 million copies, I think was the number of that game at $100. So the question for the panel, this is just a little bit of a thought experiment here. What do you think is the maximum amount that they could charge for Grand Theft Auto 6 base game and still get away with it? So people would still buy it, they would still line up, it would still sell great. What is the maximum amount? Give me that dollar amount. Not what you think they should charge, but what you think they could charge and still get away from it, or get away with it. The first hand I saw was Jonah Blake. Over to you, bud.
$200.
200 is the one in my mind as well. I think maybe even more, but let's go over to Lems next.
I was going to say the same thing. $199 for the base edition, plus they'll tack on more for DLC special editions. $299 or something like that.
Dub in the abstract comments says he would pay $500 just for GTA's new walking simulator. Sky says $125. Sky, thanks for chiming in. Let's go over to Swagner, Big Michael Wagner from Star Atlas.
I'm a touch more conservative. I'm at 160, and I think that's early access with some additional perks like cosmetics for retail markets. But I think what they've built is truly incredible. I think I don't know if there's any numbers out there on budget, but I wouldn't doubt if this was a billion plus in production. Plus,
About 2 billion altogether plus marketing. I think it'll round out to probably 2.5 to 3 by the time they're done releasing.
it's got to
So
be one of
Wagner,
the most expensive game productions ever.
It is by far the most expensive game ever made.
So my question, Wagner, is that do you mean you think it'll cost that much, or what do you think is the actual most they could charge without like people outright canceling them, right? Like the top end.
No, I think they can get away with 160. I don't know about the whole canceling thing if it's higher than that, but I think people are going to play regardless. The franchise has been in existence forever. It's an incredibly popular game. This is one of the most anticipated titles coming out in years. So I think if they're trying to optimize for what is it? I'm trying to remember the economic term, but essentially maximizing the amount of users that they get based on a price point. I think 160 is probably where they should fall and what they can get away with. I think they could go higher. I think they'll get less users and people will wait for discounts on that content if they go higher.
Great points from Michael Wagner. I think one more thing I would add to the docket for consideration here is this isn't a title that's like college football, the example that we used, or like Madden or like Call of Duty, where they're releasing every single year. We've literally been waiting for this Grand Theft Auto. I think it's over a decade now. For between Grand Theft Auto
About
5 and Grand
15
Theft Auto
years.
6,
GTA
15 years.
5 came out. The first time I played GTA 5, I was in my college dorm in New York, and I was playing with my buddy on like a small TV. It was 2013 when it came out.
College Jonah. Wow, that one threw me for a tailspin. I can't even imagine. Let's go over to Koji Nagata, then we'll tag in Knock.
Yeah, I mean, my question was probably addressed in the last answer there. Are we talking about maximum users or just the maximum they could charge and get people to buy it? Because it's very different, right? Like
Yeah.
we live in a world now where like things are. I mean, we have like collectors who will like, the like max special edition version of this game. Someone would buy it for $1,000, no question. Like you get a bust of your character's dick or whatever, and people will pay like $1,000 for that shit. But like as far as like your general consumer, I think like 150, 160 is probably the sweet spot. But honestly, like at this point, you could charge whatever you want, and enough people will probably buy it to keep the game going. We're so starved for like true zeitgeisty AAA titles. It wasn't that long ago that we would get like hit after hit after hit after hit coming out on these systems. What was the last like great game that came out? Like maybe you could argue Wukong or like Space Marine or whatever, but even those are like, I
Elden
feel like
Ring.
the yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. The last like game that I remember everybody playing and be like, you got to try this fucking thing is Elden Ring, and that was a long fucking time ago. So at this point, like because of how the market is and how starved we are, one of these games comes out and everyone's gonna buy it almost regardless of price.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. The last one that comes to mind for me is even further back. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 was the last one because Elden Ring was like exciting, but everybody like slowly adopted it. Red Dead Redemption was like, holy shit, they're finally coming out with the sequel. This is the hypest thing of all time. Blah blah blah. I think also it's incredible that we just found out that Koji would pay $1,000 for a game if only he's allowed to get a phallus shaped statuette of his character. Good
Yo, I,
note for
I would
all the
pay
developers.
$1,000 just for the phallus. I don't even care about the game.
Koji, truly the most diehard collector on the panel. I think we've solidified that today. Let's go over to Michael O'Connor and then we'll tag in Sinjin.
Yeah, I think they could probably charge almost, anything, and they'd get diehard fans buying it. But they're just not going to do that. There's no precedence for that. Um, it would potentially be super harmful for what I expect loads of their intentions are. I mean, like GTA is not just a game; it's almost like a cultural landmark, for video games and digital culture. And that's how they position themselves. So they want to tap into, deeply mainstream culture. They're like, as soon as it's released for months in advance, you've got bus stops and, just advertising everywhere. So um, they wouldn't want to then kind of put it into this super niche whale box that only few people could connect to. Um, but ultimately, there's just no precedence for that anyway. Like, I think the 150 is even way too high. I think more like $100 really. And I mean, like, well, I don't even know. Like, what's a good like AAA game at the moment? Maybe like a top one is like 70, $80 or something like that. I remember the Harry Potter game had a collector's edition on launch. I think that was like, I know, 250, $300, but it was this really specific collector edition meant for like hardcore niche. But that's kind of obviously an exception to the rule. So yeah, I'm gonna go way lower. I think that I'll stick around 100.
I,
Wow,
I,
that's how he got his nickname, Michael, man
Wait,
of the people,
just
O'Connor.
for the
Clearly,
record, there was a version of Gran Turismo that came with a car, so that's probably the most expensive game ever released.
hard to argue with that one unless it was a hell of a discount. Erica in the comments says GTA max price 149.99. People would absolutely QQ, which I think is gamer speak for like crying, but they would still end up buying. Personally, I would pay $200, no problem. We also in the abstract comments have Monty saying Diablo 4 was a big hyped thing, and he also says that if it's $200 it would be 50% of his portfolio to buy this damn game. Big shout out to everybody jumping into the comments. We got 2 wild passes for the 100th episode. I gave away one to Dub, which I still have nightmares about, and then I just have the other one. I forgot to give it away last week, so I'm giving it away this week. Anybody that is commenting, tipping, hanging out on the space, giving us a retweet, I'm going to consider all of it. I'm going to figure out a way to give it away between now and the end of the episode. So hopefully that's enough motivation for you guys. It's worth like $1,000 or something. Shout out to Wildcard, the Betners. We love you guys. Thanks for making that possible. Let's go over to Sinjin. Then we'll tag in Knock.
Yeah, I think like if I was going to say max price, like somewhere closer to like 200, but in reality, I think they could actually get away with something, yeah, at like the 140, 150 range, just because like if anyone's going to break the mold here, it will be GTA 6. And I think in terms of what people are thinking for value and how long this game is going to be playable for, most games, whatever, 1-2 years, right? But GTA, fuck man, people are going to be playing this for the next like 5-6 years, right? So, I think they could break the mold and, they'd be the exception to it, though.
Over to Knock.
yeah, I'm gonna agree with Michael O'Connor here, and I'm probably gonna even go lower. I don't see why this launches at anything higher than a standard AAA title. Like that $70 to $90 range is what makes sense here. You have to remember, like GTA is a business that makes boatloads of money. They have an unlimited money printer turned on 24/7 for the better portion of the last decade, and a lot of it is coming from in-game purchases and subscriptions. Why would you front load the extraction that you can take from an individual player when you can bring them into that title for cheaper and have them pay for that title over the course of the next 10 years until GTA 7 comes out when my grandkids are born? Like it's absurd to me that people think it's going to go as high as $200. I think they could get away with it, but I think like the return is just not going to be there. You're going to be well past that price equilibrium point. I think it's going to come in lower. I think they're going to surprise people by launching as a regular price title, and I think they're going to have a boatload of in-game purchases, subscriptions, custom servers, all kinds of shit that they'll make infinitely more money from each individual player than they would have by charging $200 on release. I think that they will surprise people, but it'll be by going lower than people expect.
You don't.
Homie, that wasn't a question, man. That wasn't what Sam
Yeah, I
asked
said I
us.
think you probably could hit the $200 mark, but they won't.
Koji coming in as the police. Justin Lucas says, I don't see it higher than $99.99 for the base game with retailer margins. It would seriously cut into the buy dollars at retail level and push the quantity of initial orders way down. Good point there. I think, if you're going to launch it as the base game at $70 and you're spending basically 2.5 billion, it seems like, from my point of view, maybe you should recoup it by, I don't know, launching GTA token or something like our boy Matt Defies leaked about a year ago. I mean, three billion is programmed for a GTA token. Are you kidding me? We get it back in a heartbeat. Let's go over to Will Spangler. That will tag in Jerry and Daryl.
Yeah, I'm gonna say however much high schoolers can convince their mums to pay. And I think that Rockstar has done a lot of research on this because GTA is the target audience is angry young guys who want to go in and fuck shit up. Um, but who and I think that whatever that median is, which is a number I think that they're very aware of, I think it's going to be that number. I think 100 is probably the max that would be, from personal experience. But I can see it going a little bit higher, and I think that there is a question that they do have to ask themselves: is like, is is GTA 6 going to be a milking event? Are they milking all of the guys who played GTA 5 when they were younger for every dollar that they've made since then? or are they going to use it to onboard a whole new generation? And I think that they could, if they wanted to charge 200, they could make that money back. I'm sure they've done all of these calculations, but I think targeting the kind of the high school age kids is going to be what's most important.
We have Johnny in the abstract comments saying that he thinks they could get away with doing a monthly subscription, which I think is an interesting angle on it, because I think it probably is the first game since like World of Warcraft that actually could get away with it. Maybe not a good idea, but they could get away with it. I think, to be honest here, I usually don't weigh in on topics, but just because nobody's gone there, I think they could charge like $500 for this game. And after waiting for 5 years or 15 years and then being able to be like, you played the last one, guys, for 15 years, we're going to charge a ridiculous amount because it's basically like getting a new console. I think they could get away with it. Let's go over to Jerry.
I don't know what happens to this panel that every time we talk about GTA, everybody just loses touch with reality. It's fucking insane to me, dude. This is gonna launch at $100, and that's like the max price they can charge for it. Obviously, collector's edition, they're gonna go like so Koji can get the bust of his character's dick, and they'll charge 200 or $300 for things like that. But the base game is gonna be $100, and still prepare for like aggressive monetization, and still prepare for aggressive pricing of things that come after that. But I mean, I love that we're all up here as like rich crypto people, and like we think like, oh, I'd pay $500 for this, and it's like you guys aren't in touch with like the person that fucking lays brick for a living and would have to save up for like a $300 title. So it's gonna launch at $100, and it's and you're gonna buy it 2 or 3 times, right? Like, they're launching it later in a hardware cycle, so when PlayStation 6 comes out or the next Xbox comes out, you're gonna buy it then too because you want the remastered version, and that's where they have a stranglehold on people. So, you will buy all those things at a $100 price point, but you won't do it at 2 or $300, which is what has made GTA 5, what's given it such great longevity is the fact that people are so willing to pay for the tangential things, and the servers and all the fucking RP shit that weird people do, fucking Hamlet remakes. And so, yeah, I think anything above $100, like y- people aren't. Obviously it's like a cultural moment when GTA releases, but it's still got to be realistic for most people to obtain. And I think what you're seeing here is a bunch of rich people who've like they can afford the $300 thing, but a lot of people can't. And yeah, Rockstar's wanting to sell you this multiple times, and they want to sell you all the extra shit that comes along with it. So it'll be $100, and then everybody will rejoice because they're gonna think they can charge more for their games, and then they can't. So yeah, $100. You guys are fucking crazy, dude.
AE is linking a GTA 6 token that came out this morning. Jordan Feinstein says GTA at 100 to 120. He agrees with Fresco. That's always a dangerous game. They're agreeing with Cherry. Let's go over to Daryl from B3. Then we'll tag in Swagner from Star Atlas.
Yeah, I love the points about the tokens. I paid like 1 Sol, maybe 2 Sol or something like that, because I keep hearing that damn rumor that GTA is going to be on Solana or that marketplace. But yeah, I don't know how true that is. If it is, would be dope. I feel like that would actually bring back all of Web3 gaming. But yeah, I think if we were to price it in fiat, totally agree with Jerry. Like, I think around $100, because I think over the years, right, the anchor price point has like maybe escalated, $10 every couple of cycles, hardware cycles, and I think the earlier point about teenagers, like being the target audience, totally agree there. I think about my nephew, and every year he's asking me for more and more money to buy games. And like, I feel like in a couple of years, if and when this comes out, like he's getting up there to like 50, 60, $70. But, if he asks me for anything more than $100, I'm not fucking giving him any money. So I feel like that's, the sweet spot.
Great takes from Daryl. Appreciate it. AE is sending us the contract address for this GTA 6 token. Michael Wagner, over to you, buddy.
Yeah, well, first, I just wanted to thank Nock for using the proper terminology of price equilibrium. That is what I was looking for. So thanks, Nock. Second, Jerry, why do these people just stop being poor, dude? Like
Oh
$100
yeah,
isn't that
I
much money.
know.
I want to go on a little bit of a tangent. I talked about Path of Exile, I think last time I was on, and started playing some early access. It's technically a free-to-play game once it goes live, but I'm tying this into monetization because, man, I have been suckered for like $200 in that game so far, which isn't a ton of money, but that's to buy stash tabs, so I have inventory in the video game. So I'm curious. I don't have any insights right now as to what GTA might do with additional monetization, but absolutely, if they're charging for cosmetics, upgrades, features, benefits in any way, then I think they're going to come in at a much lower price. Nevertheless, I'm still staying firm at 160 early access with kind of like the collector's edition stuff.
We're putting up some wild card on the stream if we can find it to celebrate that they're giving us this wild pass thanks to wild card. Over to Koji. Did Koji get rugged? Do you guys
I
hear him?
think so. Hey,
Ah.
can you pull up on the stream? Can you pull up Koji's Museum of Horrors and put the bust of his character's dick in there? I think we got to add that.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, that was
Thank you.
wild.
Thank you for the audience.
Was that Daryl? Was that B3?
Dude, I have no idea.
Amazing. Yeah, if anybody doesn't know, Koji basically did what he called a NFT museum of horrors, where he had everybody send him their worthless NFTs, and then he put them up like in a museum and burned them, and you can like run around through it in like a 3D way. Koji, coming back to the panel now. Let's see if he has the mic back.
Can you hear me?
We can. All right, take it away, and then we're gonna move on.
Okay. Kill this game mode forever, please. My mental health can't take it. Everyone is taking this as if like, guess what the launch price will be, but that's not what you asked, and it's driving me absolutely fucking mental because like we're talking about GTA 6. For the record, I don't even like GTA games, but it is probably on par, if not bigger news than the Switch 2. Man, like people probably want to play this game more than they want an upgraded console. So like what you're saying about like, oh, $100, like yeah, that's probably what it will launch for, if not less. But like, if you're asking what the maximum amount people would like, a lot of people would pay for this fucking game, it's way more than that. It's way more than that. I mean, and if you think like that's just like crypto rich speak, you're out of your fucking mind. You're out of your mind. In a world where like Jordans cost like $300 at the store, there's no way. Like that's a fucking pair of shoes. There's no way that people aren't gonna spend more than $100 on this game if that's what it came out for. I promise you that. I promise you.
Thank you, Koji. Like when Sam and I were talking about this on the prep show, it was like, oh, this could be a fun thing, and then just degraded into everyone taking this way too seriously.
Yeah, I'm making you guys pay for Lem's and Koji's therapy after this game mode. Okay, we move on.
Nah, fuck Koji, dude. What are we betting right now? The base game is gonna come out at $100. What are you putting on it, Koji?
I'm gonna kill myself.
All right, Jonah's going in the therapy pool too. All right, the rates go up every time somebody doesn't let me move on to the next topic. Agree or disagree? Hustlepedia's take on crypto gaming. Okay, he says crypto gaming needs something legitimately groundbreaking, or to come back with the next level Ponzi degen that feels like it creates FOMO at this point. He says we had hundreds of streamers playing a crypto game of hundreds of thousands of people watching, and it did nothing for the gaming market. Everyone always says, "Ooh, if the game is good, that's all that matters." This is absolutely false. I'm doing my impression of how I think he typed it. Games that have been actually amazing / fun have faltered because that's all that they cared about. They used Web3 as a layer to make their game quote unquote successful and fundraise, but failed to lean into the crypto side, which alienates real users and drives them away. Do we agree or disagree with our boy Hustlepedia on this one? Jonah Blake, over to you.
Do you want professional Jonah answer or I piss people off with my answer, Jonah? You pick.
I'll take the latter, but I want it in less than 2 minutes.
Off the Grid was not a good game. That's why it didn't work. It was unoptimized. It killed my $4,000 PC. Every single forum said the game couldn't run on NASA computers, okay? The game premise, the game concept, the graphics, all those things, amazing. But it can't run in any capacity. So it doesn't matter that you're paying streamers because nobody can actually enjoy the game.
Let's go to Sinjin. Appreciate the spicy take there, Jonah.
Yeah, I completely disagree with Hustle. Not because he's not right in some respects. I mean, if your game is you're in this space just for speculation, yeah, he's spot on. You know, he wants the next kind of narrative that will kind of supersede that of AI meme coins, and I don't think that's possible. Not with gaming, and we see it with the cycles, but with like every industry that's really high growth. Yeah, there's definitely speculation, but at some point, like the industry does mature, and we don't expect that in crypto because it is highly financialized, market centric type of thing. And in terms of like the age of, we're all gonna get rich off gaming tokens, and it's all about a market cycle, and a whole like cohort of games are suddenly going to make us a fuck ton of money. I think that's pretty much over, and I think it's proven because like game as a product for it to actually be good, right? And yeah, I agree with Jonah in the sense that like, has there really been a really breakout, hit game yet that is really good? Right. I don't think that's really the case. I think everyone's in kind of some stage of optimization, or still working things out, or and the other thing though too is like the games that we thought are great in terms of a narrative, a speculative narrative positioning, right? They're not necessarily the best games that will be sustainable. For instance, like if an open game economy is really the 10x for a lot of these games, or for games in crypto, and then you're doing an FPS shooter, or you're doing a maybe like certain types of games, right? But like if it doesn't have an online economy, or it doesn't have like a core and a meta game and stuff like that, and you can't build an economy around it, then you're really losing that access to 10x, or it's really hard to design for. So yeah, I think he's right in terms of like he's expecting in the speculative market sense, hey, like where's the next kind of big kind of speculative kind of narrative? But I don't think gaming really works like that. And I'm happy for that. I'm happy that I think we're going into a more mature stage where I think maybe there's probably going to be 5 or 6 or maybe 10 really breakout games in the next couple of years. And they're going to crush it. And then they're going to create a new model where people are going to follow it. And then we're going to see an assured, like this really strong movement towards what Web3 gaming should be.
Great takes from the Titan of Taboo. Hustlepedia says, do we need something legitimately groundbreaking or just a next level Ponzi degen? Swagner, what say you?
Yeah, I think Sinjin made some great points there, but I am going to take the opposite side of that coin and say I'm pretty firmly aligned with Johnny here because like a large part of what Web3 is the financial incentive mechanisms integrated into games. That's what makes Web3 gaming Web3. In my opinion, I think it's the open economy. Um, uh, I would also strongly support the idea that or his statement that like just build a great game is all you need to do. That is not sufficient innovation, and in fact, a lot of what we're seeing, even in Web3, is really just a replication or duplication of what's been successful in traditional gaming. And so, the industry that we're in is about creating innovation, and that is largely through financial incentive. Now, that's not to say it needs to be degen or Ponzi, but I mean, I've been saying this since back in 2022 when the market crashed and everybody was like, just build great games. Why are you so focused on tokenomics and why are you so focused on the crypto side of it, right? And abstract away all of the crypto and just make it super easy to onboard. That's not really sufficient to onboard people into our segment of the gaming industry, in my opinion. So I think he's really spot on. I think not doing it necessarily in a degen or Ponzi fashion, but rather in a more sustainable and fundamental intrinsic value fashion is what ultimately will lead to longer term adoption. I think that's where Sinjin is exactly right. Is we are going to see some titles over time that have matured to a point and developed their product to a point where it is more attractive to mainstream. But realistically, like the era that we're in right now and the stage that we're in right now, I think it does need to be tailored and catered more to the Web3 degen audience. And I'll just close here with one kind of final point, which like sentiment's really bad right now across the market, in my opinion, especially bad in gaming. Gaming still has not seen any type of rally or narrative around it, given all of the other noise in crypto. Um, but man, just uh, anecdotally, one of the things that helps sentiment within a community the most is just token price movement. I mean, I've seen it time and again where we have big releases that we come out with, big patches, a lot of new features, really exciting stuff. It's crickets out there, at least on socials. You know, outside of stuff that we're posting, token goes up 20%, 50%. All of a sudden, everybody is talking about it. So even just from a marketing perspective, having movement in the token, particularly on the positive side, because the inverse is also true. If your token goes down, you are the worst team, you're completely incompetent, and you can't achieve anything. But if the token goes up, man, you're a hero. And that really helps with distribution and visibility of your product.
I think Zach D in the comments trying to throw me through a tailspin because he's just tells me Heroes of New Earth is apparently back. They're bringing the old MOBA back, which is crazy. Maybe that's what Web3 gaming needs. But agree hard with what Swagner is saying. Token price going up does seem to kind of make games feel more fun as well as do incredible marketing for you. Let's go over to Stephen Chen that will tag in Michael O'Connor.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with Hustlepedia's take here. Mainly because I was telling people that this entire industry is in for a rude awakening when a flagship game wasn't actually the problem, and it's really back to the drawing board. However, I stopped as soon as I saw people saying this in hindsight because it just wasn't funny anymore. Like, I think it's really easy to say things in a negative way in hindsight after some things have happened. Like I've been in venture and investing, right? This argument can be made for almost any vertical. Saying things like best tech doesn't win or fun games aren't enough. It's just simply too easy. Um, and like AI was a buzzword for years, right? And then Chat GPT came and showed everyone what's actually possible. And then actually grinded for years. Like when everyone said Web3 gaming wasn't possible, but they kept building, found the right combination of like game design, marketing, economic design, and they created a trend. So like, same thing can be said for virtuals as well. And like that's a life of a founder and entrepreneur, right? You need to do all the right things and be okay with rolling the dice. I think it's important that you have conviction on what you're actually doing. And I think it's like very natural for humans to love to say things in hindsight. Oh, look, a good game failed. Clearly, it's not good enough. Incredibly genius take. Like, what the fuck? So let's say tomorrow Web3 game goes super successful across the board. Everyone's going like, oh, they did all these things correctly. It's super obvious. Like, just sit down, build with conviction. When it's your time, it'll be your time.
Yeah, now if anybody's keeping track, now is the time to put that tweet out that's like, I'm building even whenever nobody's looking, whatever. So like in 2 years, whenever people say it was obvious, you can quote tweet yourself and get mad likes. Trust me, I've been there, I've done that. 12 years on YouTube, study the kid. Let's go over to Michael O'Connor. Do you agree with Hustlepedia's take here?
I do agree. I think, when we zoom out and we look at what the perception of success inside of crypto gaming, and, based on the premise that we just kind of a few people have mentioned um, this evening, you know, crypto gaming is largely based on the premise of everyone wants it to go up because most people interested in this vertical are retail investors, including most people, listening right now, I'm sure. So how does the number go up? I think Johnny's right, actually. You know, you've got to come at things with something groundbreaking, i.e., we've got to inject innovation into gameplay, business models, or both. And there's opportunities to do that. There's obviously the convergence with AI and gaming is a really interesting vertical where there is the opportunity to do something groundbreaking. Um, but but he's right also to bring up that the other way that it could break through is something on the more purist degen side, something that's able to tap in to the insane liquidity that exists inside of meme coin culture. You know, that could easily happen and could galvanize Web3 gaming. And what by galvanize, I mean like that it could push up the whole price of a broad vertical group, Um, so I think he's kind of actually nail on the head. There's also the kind of the hybrid option that people are able to add this sprinkle of innovation, but also able to tap into memetic culture as well. And then in regards to kind of like the one thing I didn't really agree with Johnny in this one is in regards to off the grid and how it did nothing for Web3. I don't think that it's that statement is that clear right now. It drove significant attention to Web3 from a lot of external sources. Um, and I think that if Gunzilla have a very, very successful TGE with a skyrocketing FTV built on under the premise of what they did very well, which was marketed the game, you've got a comp, successful comp. And the more successful comps that retail investors see, the more likely that the whole kind of vertical of Web3 gaming will go up. So I still believe that there can be significant success for Gunzilla and Off the Grid, which could, propel aspects of our industry forward.
Measured take by the man Michael O'Connor. Kate is over here leaking alpha inside of the abstract stream. I might share that in just a minute. Let's go over to Jerry, then we'll tag in Koji.
Yeah, also put me in the camp of agreeing with Johnny, and I kind of want to zoom back just a step from like the Web3 gaming talk, and I think when you look at the overall gaming landscape, a lot of his thoughts are still true. I think the gaming space and the whole gaming ecosystem is like starving for something new and starving for like a breakthrough hit. And we're seeing games studios and publishers like talk about how profitability is just so down and making games is so hard, such a bad business to be in some ways. And gamers are telling you they're bored of the same shit. So I think, yeah, like when you look and zoom out from a view for a second, the gaming space is in a weird spot, and thus people are telling you they want new shit, they want stuff that's groundbreaking and new game models and kind of genre bending stuff, which is like great for the wild cards and the parallel colonies and the today the games of the world because they're doing these exact things. So I think the gaming industry is just like for people that don't know the insides of it is not really in a super healthy place right now. So we need something to happen to make gaming great again for lack of a better term. And so, when you look at the Web3 side of it, yeah, we being in the most niche part of gaming definitely need that. Or you need the other part, which is exactly what he's talking about. You need the degen token go up, everybody get rich kind of model to come back because that's what brought a lot of these people into the space in the first place that are making some of these games, right? Like I promise you, people don't say this out loud, but one of the reasons people got interested and wanted to start, their own Web3 gaming project is because they looked at the LTVs of Axie users, saw that, the average LTV of an Axie user was like $600 at one point, and they went, "Oh, I fucking want that because it's hard to do this shit." So they're making a whole lot of money over there, so I want in on that. And that's a great model, right? That is a great thing to have because if you can do that, you have people that are going to love you and you have people that are going to make a lot of money and they won't complain. Now, you have to do that obviously in a sustainable way, and that's a formula that nobody's really cracked yet. But, I think Johnny's spot on here. What the gaming industry needs a new breakthrough, but, being in the fringes of it like we are, you need that times two or times three to make people want to go through and jump through all the hoops. And to Michael's point, I think with off the grid it's hard to be critical of them yet because we don't know like the what happens a year or two downstream of that. If they are going to drop tokens to everybody that played the game, when they did that big streamer push, I think the conversation is a lot different. Like we all look at it as a failure with the today mindset of like what's happened for them up to this point, but we don't really know how that's going to play out, and I think there's still a lot of opportunity for them to make a lot of people super happy.
Yeah, great point, and it's actually bolstered by what non-fungible Taylor is saying in the comments. He says, "I don't think saying it did nothing for Web3 gaming is accurate." Speaking, of course, about Hustlepedia's comments on Off the Grid, it didn't do anything for the crypto market. But I had friends of mine who I'd never talked to about OTG that know I'm in crypto asking me about it. Even that Shroud clip of the Web3 aspects clicking for him, who knows how many other people he influenced with that moment. It would be ridiculous for us to expect all of those people immediately to onboard into Web3. That's not how this works. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely fantastic take from Taylor. Let's go over to Koji, then we'll tag in, knock in Sinjin.
I mean, I said this on last week's show, I think, but I'm gonna say it again. Insane that we're talking about off the grid as like, a failure when like not few months ago was it like game of the year. This is how ridiculous this space is, and I agree a little bit about building great games isn't enough. I think there's a timing element to everything, no matter what your business is, not just good products. You need to. I don't know if you can time it. There's a little bit of luck involved, I guess, timing and preparation or whatever. But like, I, maybe we've had some great games, but have we really had any undeniable games in Web3? Like, have we had anything? And let's forget about AAA titles. Like, we're talking about GTA before. Like, take that out of your mind. But have we had anything like, I don't know, Balatro or Dead Cells or Disco Elysium or Celeste or Hollow Knight or any of these, like, more attainable titles? Like, anything hit even 1/10 as big as that? We haven't, right? So, like, to be like, oh, it's not enough, we don't even know because we haven't gotten there yet. Like the undeniable title doesn't exist in Web3, and I say that as somebody who's trying to build a title that will one day become undeniable. We're not there. So to be like, oh, it's not enough, we don't like. We haven't even scratched the surface of that shit yet. Jonas said it in the beginning, like maybe the game just wasn't good enough. I think that's where we're at, man. I think like we're in a place where like these games aren't good enough yet. I think that some of these games, ours included, will get there, but like to say right now, oh, good games aren't enough. We don't have any good ones. That's where I'm at. So like, I think it's a wild take for people to be like, oh, it's not just about the products. Like, let's build a great product first, see that fucking shit fail, and then we'll talk about, oh, it's not enough to build great products. Like, make crypto great, gaming great. Not again, because it never was. Fucking make it great.
Real quick side tangent. Illinois, the state, introduced a bill just now to establish a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which feels like a really big deal. I just wanted to say that out loud because it feels good. Let's go over to Sinjin. Sinjin, your take on Hustlepedia's comments.
Yeah, I already said it, and then everyone's like, "Well, you're agreeing with Hustle and shit like this." But as a builder who's going to launch, I mean, we're going to launch in April, and we're not going to target Web3 gamers at all because fuck Web3 gamers as gamers. If it's all about like, if you can use them for attention and then that's great, okay. But you can't build a proper game that will be sustainable if you're always trying to hit what they're looking for speculatively, right? Those speculative expectations. And speculation and incentives might get you players, but can you really keep them? And what is a great Web3 like game? Like, what are we defining that? It's actually not a Web2 game that's comparable and as good as Web2 game. It's much more than that. Web3 games have to be forever games. If the NFTs are really to be worth something, to be really wildly successful, the game has to be good, right? If the game is only going to last 2 years as a successful Web2 game, it's not good enough for Web3. Right. And at the end of the day, are you going to choose speculation over real revenues? Because when real revenues come, I guarantee you, okay, real gamers are going to come into Web3, not as like Web3 gamers. They're just going to come in as gamers. And here we are, we're looking for like just a comparable Web2 game again as like fun or whatever. And we define it so very like narrowly. But the reality is a Web3 game has to crush Web2 because that's what disruption looks like. For me, speculation, it's just a feature, it's growth hack, it's great, but Web3 has to be disrupted. It has to be 10x. And if you're building for just speculation or whatever like that, good fucking luck. I'll see you in the fucking graveyard later on when I'm fucking on the throne.
Let's go, Sinjin. Let's tag in Knock, then we'll go to Jonah, then to Big Daryl, and then we're going to move on from this topic. But it's been a great debate to this point.
Yeah, I actually think both sides of the coin are right here. The timeline matters, right? Like, what are we defining as a successful game? Is it the number of players you have in a short period of time? If it's how much money you brought in, then there's been plenty of successful Web3 titles. Is it longevity? Is it some moral award you're giving to yourself? I mean, if all that mattered was a good product, go to Steam chart, filter by games that don't have any fucking players, and play a couple of those. I guarantee you're going to find some great games that nobody cares about because great games die all of the time. The entire gaming industry is about commerce and monetization. I tweeted about this today, and I think there's an episode of Gamecraft by Mitch Lasky, who has worked at EA, Activision, a whole bunch of shit, and Blake Robbins, who's an investor in the space. And I think it should be like required listening to everybody who's listening to Gamified right now. But they talk about the beginning of Riot Games, which really didn't do anything all that differently from a game design perspective. In fact, it was more or less just a clone of Defense of the Ancients, but they iterated and innovated on the monetization of that product. Games had been going free in the East largely because of a pirating issue. Riot Games says, well, people have to pay $60 to access, the game, to just get access to a game that they don't even want to play. Then they have to download a mod so that they can get access to Dota. What if we just created Dota, made it free, and then we'll iterate on this monetization process? Gaming as a business is can only really change in one of two ways. You either innovate wildly on core gameplay mechanics, and we've seen a bunch of titles. Jerry mentioned a bunch of them that are building within this space. People like Colony, people like Star Atlas, and what the Today the Games or the Yumio team now is building in Wildcard. That's one way to go about innovation. The other is to go about innovation from an economic perspective. And if you're playing the game in Web3 and you're not looking at it from an economic perspective, you're an idiot. And I think that I mean that like in the most wholehearted way possible. There are plenty of examples of titles who are equal parts game and equal parts economic activity. Counter-Strike is alive today, half in part because yes, it's a great game that people want to play, but just as much in part because people want to speculate on opening boxes and hoping to get a cool skin that they'll never fucking play with in the game, and they'll just cheat it back into the mechanism and open more boxes to maybe get another cool skin that they don't understand. Financialization is like at the core of gaming. If you're in this space and you've launched an NFT or you've launched a token and you're 2 years out from a game that people can actually play beyond closed alpha, and you say you have a problem with speculation, you're an asshole because those assets are speculative vehicles. And if you don't have a game that is in full playability that isn't available to everybody today, and you have speculated assets associated with that game, assets that you launched because you're going to make money off of that speculation, and you wanted to collect revenue through things like transaction fees and royalties and things of that nature, well in advance of the game being ready for anybody to go and play it, and then you have like the balls to say that speculation is not part of the Web3 ecosystem. I think that you're either being disingenuous or you really deeply have a fundamental misunderstanding of what is happening in this space. You can be innovative on gameplay, but discrediting innovation from a financial perspective, I think is stupid. I think Johnny is absolutely right for where the market is today. I think guys like Sinjin and Koji are absolutely right. You're going to see games come in from a game first perspective, but ultimately every Web3 title, if it's going to be successful, is going to look a lot like Counter-Strike. Half game, half financialized aspect. You're going to have people who will attach themselves to that product in one of those two verticals, and they might not commingle. There might not be a cross pollination of the speculators of Counter Strike skins and people who play Counter Strike. I don't play CS. I like to watch that box spin and hopefully get something good. And I think that that is a perfectly valid way to interact with the ecosystem. Web3 is an innovation on economics. It's also an innovation on gameplay, as you're going to see with things like Colony. But to discredit one or the other while you're building here is just stupid to me. I think everybody on this panel so far has been right, but timelines matter.
Love the take from Big Knock. A lot of nodding heads in my house, which is only me. So I was nodding my head a lot. Let's go over to Daryl, then we'll tag in Jonah for the last statement.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I've been mostly listening because I feel like this is such an important discussion because it really strikes at the heart of what's going on here. And I feel like what's going on right now is like we're basically splitting into two camps, right? In crypto and crypto gaming. I think on one side you have folks that are trying to build these real open world economies, right? Like the Kojis of the world. And then on the other side, you have super, high intensity, right, short hit type degen games. And I feel like these degen games are much, much closer to gambling, right, and to skill based games. And ultimately, when you play these games or when you're running these games, you're like the house, and players are playing against the house. And, it's ultimately pretty extractive, actually. And it works because gambling addicts like myself, we don't we don't really care. It's just escapism. Sometimes you just want to feel something, you know. But I think putting on
Uh-oh. Did Daryl cut out, or is that my internet?
No, he's gone.
Ah, man. Great point up until that point. I can't believe he called himself a gambling addict. That was pretty funny. Shout out to Daryl. He's taking it all in stride.
We
Let's go over
all
to
are,
Jonah.
Sam. Come on, we're in this industry. We all are. Let's be honest here.
We just very few of us actually admit it, especially whenever we're in Daryl's position. But I love him for it. Let's go over to Jonah, and if Daryl makes it back in time, we'll tag him back in.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot. We think about it a lot here at our company. And really, the only way to get a game to go viral is to do an airdrop where only Bored Apes can't get it.
All right. Well, that was short and sweet. Great take. Daryl's not going to make it back in time, though. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to move on. But we're midway through our magnificent mission. So, let's maneuver to thank our mates over at Avalanche. They're the Sub Zero superheroes, ensuring our digital deeds are as smooth and safe as a snowboarder on fresh powder. Whether you're dodging bullets on the firefights of Off the Grid or you're scaling the magical peaks of Maple Story, Avalanche is the summit where Web3 gaming is truly shining. Thank you for being the official chain of gamified. Man, I can't believe I get to say that all 2025 again. Thank you guys. Up next, Game 7 Nation, a gaming haven where players have the power. Did you know they've got 175,000 monthly active Mavericks making moves on the Game 7 portal? They also have 400,000 citizen avatars on chain and have given away over $1 million. With Hyperplay as your highway to hassle-free discovery experiences and World Builder whipping your world into a wealth generation wonderland, Game 7 is the real MVP. And don't forget their ginormous, groundbreaking MetaMask partnership opening the gates to 30 million folks thanks to our official infrastructure. It's Game 7. And buckle up, Space Cadets, because Star Atlas is about to launch a rocket full of loot that'll make your head spin faster than a black hole. The Golden Carnival Mega Mystery Week is coming February 21st, but you can join them now every single Friday for your chance to snag the share of a $4 million prize pool. We're talking enough cosmic credits to make you the envy of the galaxy. So scramble your starships and set your coordinates to the Star Atlas Discord to learn more about the official game of Gamified and get a game key to jump right in. We're going to go to Dump, Date, Marry. Haven't done this one in a little while, and it's actually kind of merging Web 2 and Web 3. Unity, Play Tika, and Ubisoft is what we are dump, dating, and marrying. The reason I say it blends with Web3 is because all these stocks are down like there are shitcoins. They're down 80% over the last couple of years. All three of them. Unity, the most used game engine in the world. Ubisoft, one of the most renowned IP holders in all of video games, and Playtika, one of the best mobile studios we've ever seen alongside Zynga, is in the dump. Okay, so what are you dating? What are you dumping? And what are you marrying if you have to pick between these three shit coins that are clearly not performing well? Jonah has the hand up first.
Dump Ubisoft. Gross. Get that Assassin's Creed Shadows out of my mouth. Ugh. Fucking disgusting. Date Playtica because she kind of fine though, but I don't know if I want to keep her forever. Marry Unity, she's got that money. I can marry into wealth.
Can marry into wealth. All right, let's go over to Koji next, then to Jerry.
Yeah, I mean, definitely marrying Unity. I think that long term utility there. So it's worth it in the long haul. As far as the rest, I don't know. I'm dumping them both, man. Look, I think that like I guess I'm a big believer in tactile things, utility things I can actually see working, and like for my money, Unity's the only valuable one. So sorry, I'm not playing the game properly. I'm giving myself a mental breakdown.
Dude, fucking Koji, man. He'll roast
But
everybody
at
else for
what
not doing
price?
the
What
game, and
price
then
are they
he'll,
willing to buy it?
I don't like any of them. I went on plenty of dates with people I didn't like, Koji.
Okay, I'll date Ubisoft then, because like every once in a while, I like to dip my toes in some of their games and then realize it's
She's
repetitive as shit and then
toxic.
stop playing. But it's fun. It's fun while it lasts. And it's like an abusive significant other, because I keep going back. I'm like, oh, maybe this time it'll be different, and then it isn't.
That's exactly. See, Koji was right there. Sometimes it's fun, That's perfect for dating. Shout out to Ubisoft. Koji apparently huge Ubisoft fan. Knock. Or no, wait, no, I said Jerry. Jerry, if you had to pick dump date or marry Unity, Playtika, and Ubisoft all down 80% from all-time highs, which one do you think is going to make it back?
Yeah, I'm also marrying Unity because like it's just the most used, and if we all dumped Unity, we'd have no video games left, and I really like video games, and I I- I'll I'll date play Tika because like they have some cool shit that they do. They just have a lot of dog shit that goes along with it. I think that's like the toxic relationship because it's like you see the 10% of them that's good, and then you don't like you ignore the red flags of the 90%. It's like put your fucking shit away in the bathroom. Stop leaving it all over the place. Stop leaving your facial hairs on the sink or whatever. And I think Playtika just has a lot of that. And then Yeah, I think we're all gonna dump Ubisoft because it's like, how do you have this thing that, like, we've all played a Ubisoft game, we've all grown up playing them, we all liked them at one point, we liked the stuff that they did, but they're still the most hated company in gaming. I just don't know how you pull that off. Like, how you have everybody has tried you at some point, and everybody still hates you. I just don't understand how they've let that happen.
Jerry,
It is
why
amazing.
is your girlfriend leaving facial hair on the sink? That's what I want
You know? Hey,
That
put
was.
your makeup brushes away, you know? I don't know, I didn't have a better example. I didn't at least say that I want a mold of my character's dick, alright? It's not the worst thing that's been said today.
I was gonna leave that insane analogy out of it, but thanks, Michael Wagner, for making that impossible. Let's go on over to Knock and Michael O'Connor.
Yeah, I'm dumping Playtika because I've got better casino games here in Web3 and they're more painful, and that's why we're all here. Definitely dating Ubisoft. I mean, like the IP, some of the titles that they've released, things like Brawlhalla, For Honor, Assassin's Creed franchise, like there's just so many good things that were there. And despite how much we all pretend we hate them, we still pay attention to them and we talk about them once a month at least. So definitely dating them. And then Unity's the only answer for Mary here. Like shovels, you're selling shovels. If anybody wants to build a game, they've got like one of four options, and really they've got one of two options. And most people are going with Unity anyway. It's got to be the answer.
Yeah, fucking unprofitable shovels.
A shovel nonetheless.
Unmonetizable shovels until they pissed everybody off. AE in the comments says he missed this game mode. He's glad it's back. Here's his. He's dumping Ubisoft. He's dating Play Tika, and he is also marrying Unity. Is anybody willing to marry Ubisoft or Play Tika? Are these guys perpetually single? It seems like it so far. Let's go over to Spangler.
Yeah, I'm gonna dump Playtika for the reasons not mentioned, and then it's tough because guys, I swear this time I can fix her. It's possible, guys. I'm not hurting. This time we can. This Assassin's Creed will be good. Um, so I think yeah I mean yeah it's tricky with Unity because Unity does have their hands very deeply in kind of like so much of Unity's revenue comes from Unity ads, and I think that whether their ability to bounce back will depend on how they're able to adjust and pivot as kind of advertising and the way that we engage with mobile games um, evolves and grows with Web3. I think they've been able to manage it pretty well so far. So you gotta go with the safe option. I mean, if you're gonna be shackled up for life, want to be shackled to some bags.
I love it. Let's bring Michael O'Connor back up on stage. I know he wanted to answer this as well. We've got a bunch in the abstract comments as well right now. Monty says he'll date Unity. First one to not marry. We'll never know if she'll take the money for download bad decisions again.
That's
Marrying
a great joke.
Playtika, that was a great one. And dumping, of course, Ubisoft. Then Johnny says dump Ubisoft, marry Unity, date Playtika. That seems to be the most popular breakdown here. DeFi Zoo Racer says, Dater, don't share the bank account. Let's go over to Michael O'Connor.
Yeah, I mean, Playtika has to be dumped for sure. Cheap and trashy. So um, let's be honest. Then I actually don't want to marry either of the other two. Um, but dating would be good. Uh, I think you listen. Unity's amazing, but I'm an Unreal Engine fanatic. So
Man,
um,
fuck.
I think for that reason, it's going to have to be Ubisoft, whom I'm going to marry. And
Wow.
Wow.
yeah, yeah, you got
Divorced
your
three
one.
times, dude. He's the guy. He's gonna be 70 and fucking 6 divorces.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, listen, Jerry. What's more concerning to me is that Jerry picked Unity to marry because it was the most used. So, um, but yeah, I think I'm going to go with. I think I'm going to go with the Assassin's Creed boys for number one. They're coming back, guys. They're coming back.
The only justification for marrying Unity, or excuse me, for marrying Ubisoft is that you would get hopefully that IP, and you could hopefully convince them once you own 50% of all of their assets, you convince them to do things that are a little bit more privy than what they've been doing to this point. Amazing answers from everybody. Appreciate you guys. There's some oofs in the chat. We're gonna move on though. Chad or Chump, indie.fun for fundraising. If you guys haven't seen this one, this platform allows you to easily launch games along with a token like Pump Fun. That essentially is a fundraiser for game studios, or that's at least what they're sort of phrasing it as. Okay, so now this could be either a fast, fun way to fund the development of Web3 games, similar to Kickstarter, but with Web3 elements. But one of the things that they're doing is they're actually allowing you to select pre-established games on the website itself. As I get distracted because my beautiful fiance says hello, hi sweetheart, love you. So you can essentially select your token, give the token a name, and then there's just a list of games that you can say like I will pick the one that looks like Stardew Valley, and then you launch your Pump Fun with your Stardew Valley looking games. Now, the pro here is it's very easy to launch tokens for games and potentially fundraise. The bad, though, is that you're essentially able to cosplay or LARP, as a common terminology, as a game studio with a game that might be developed, but it's really just you clicked a plugin on a website and launch a token that was affiliated with it. So, are these guys Chads for giving us a revolutionary new way that people might be able to sort of fundraise for their amazing Web3 games? Or are they chumps for giving us a bunch of shitters that are going to just take even more liquidity away from Web3 gaming projects that could actually do something great with it? Let's go over to Lems first and then Michael Wagner.
Man, I've like gone back and forth on this one. I've had even more time to think about it, and I think I'm still going to go with Chump. As much as things like Pump Fun, like people talk about how much revenue they've made, and they've shown like real product market fit in crypto, and but then there's the other side of like, is it actually healthy for the industry? And then when you take that and like add games on top, and people can just rip each other off and like pump out these games, like maybe I'll be wrong, and they'll come out and have some like innovative, cool shit come from this, but it really feels like there's going to be so much copy pasta with basically a meme client attached to it. I do think it's kind of a neat thing that we're trying to find other ways for game studios to fundraise and get some more money. But I'm just not sure this is it. So I'm going to go with Chump.
Shady Shiba in the comments on Abstract says revolutionary new way to scam people for sure. Congrats on the windfall they're about to receive. Cutting straight to the point on that one. Michael Wagner, what say you? Are these guys Chads or Chumps, brother?
Maybe this is the catalyst that Hustle was talking about. This might be exactly what we need. But genuinely, man, I think that this can't be good for the ecosystem in any possible way. I think it's probably going to be max extractive. Lem's kind of nailed it with his comments. I think it's bad for reputation, probably bad for credibility, bad for liquidity for real builders. So I'm going to go Chump on this. But yeah, I can't see this playing out well. Did we learn nothing from Pumped Up Fun at all?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here, man. I think if they took it away and they said you must upload like a demo of your game or something instead, it might have a little bit more feasibility. But even then, you can probably stitch something together that would convince people it's legitimate whenever it's really not. I mean, we saw it with the craze of launching, Unity asset latent game or Unreal Engine last asset games that ended up being completely bullshit and taking a ton of money out of the ecosystem. Let's go over to Koji, then we'll tag in Michael O'Connor.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, like I would love to be proven wrong, but I'm gonna go Chump because literally everything that I've ever purchased on a crowdsourcing platform, for the most part, 99% have been like absolute dog shit. So like most Kickstarter launches, most whatever the other one was called, they're like it's mostly bad, and you can point to some good ones that like had some revolutionary stuff. Like obviously Pebble kind of like brought the smartwatch to the forefront, and et cetera, et cetera. There's a few, but like for every one of those, there's about like 100,000 to 1 million that are absolute garbage. So I feel like the platform is going to be so clogged up with nonsense that it like you're not going to be able to tell what's good, what's bad, and what's real, what isn't. So yeah, I don't know. That sounds like a terrible idea to me.
Old man yells at cloud. Let's go over to Michael O'Connor.
I agree with everyone who's spoken already. In the sense that there's some, liquidity concerns, that curatorial concerns. Is this something that we really need? With that said, there could be some diamonds in the rough, and it could end up, you know, funding a couple of interesting game studios who end up doing something super cool, or like a 16-year-old kid who wants to, we mentioned the Binding of Isaac earlier on. He wants to make some amazing indie game. So while I kind of feel as if I'm being kind of like almost controversial by saying this, but because it does go a little bit against my instincts, but I'm just going to take an optimistic view here, and I'm going to say Chad instead of Chump because let's be positive and let's hope that they win.
Wow, some optimism coming out of the European. Let's go over to Stephen Chen.
Damn, I wanted to be the first one to say Chad. Damn it. Yeah, I think there needs to be some balance here. I feel like everyone's like super, super negative, lots of FUD. And I feel like we're all in a very deep bear market for Web3 gaming. And I think like blindly just saying everything's trash is not good. um, and for me, I feel like experimenting in the space, especially with like more degen vibes, I want to support that. I like that they're taking inspiration from like Pump.fun, but I don't know if the initial version of this will work well for indie game developers. Um, like the reason why Pump.fun was so successful is that it takes no time to create a meme, right? Legit, a few clicks of buttons, enter some text and images, boom, you have a live token instantly. You have all these people making like paper money based on a bonding curve. You have participants in every phase of speculation, right? I think building a game is a completely different story. It's taken way more seriously than meme coins. So like the question is how they overcome this. And to be fair, I don't even think Pump.fun knew what specific features were going to work and generate market demand. They like iterated super, super fast and doubled down on things that based on like second order effects. Um, and I think it's all about whether like this team is sharp and nimble enough to take advantage of that. I think like experimenting with like more degen models can't be wrong. Let's not take the path of, oh, they're just copy pastaing like some meme coin launcher. Definitely won't work. Like I feel like experimentation can't be a bad thing. At least they're taking a swing, right?
Great points. Love the optimism, boys. Some great comments, but I'm going to keep sticking with the panel for now. Let's go over to Daryl. I want to tag in Daryl from B3 since he got rugged on the last one. Daryl, over to you, bud.
Yeah, I'm at my family home right now, so the internet is absolute garbage. But I am also jumping on the chat train. So I've been a fan of Mod for a while now. Mod is the team behind this new launcher. And I remember talking to Jay about this back at DEF CON. And I think his perspective on it is we need more experimentation in the space, right? We need more tools and more ways to fundraise, just more ideas, right? It goes back to, I think, the other question of like, we're at a crossroads right now. Like, what's the next phase going to look like? What are some new genres? And I think this is an interesting play on that. They have a cool game engine that's powering a lot of the creation. And I think the current lineup, I just took a look right now, like a lot of the games are, lower quality, of course, but it kind of gives me Roblox energy. And I feel like there's, a massive market for that. And maybe I'm a boomer because I don't play these games and my nephew does, but like tons of folks play those games, right? And if there's a way to fund more of those and monetize through indie.fun and some sort of crypto distribution, then let's give it a shot, right? We should be, thinking about a lot of different options and a lot of different ways to target new audiences.
Interesting take. I just personally can't feel like there's a giant pool of people waiting to make these amazing, innovative new concepts that are just held back by the fact that they can't launch a shitcoin affiliated with it and make money off of it. And then they're going to spend 3 years on developing this cool thing. Or like Stardew Valley, didn't it take like 6 years, 7 years for that dude? Notch with Minecraft, didn't it take him like 8 years or something? Like ridiculous. I don't think that that's the barrier, but I'd be happy to be wrong. I mean, if this leads to a ton of innovation, I would be absolutely thrilled. Real quick, housekeeping. I'm going to be giving away that wild pass in the next like 15 minutes. Get the comments in, get the retweets in, give a gamified shout out, do whatever you got to do. And I'm happy to give it to anybody that's been participating throughout the show. Love you guys. Let's go over to Knock and shout out to Daryl. Great take.
It's funny because I bet if we had had a similar topic about 8 months ago about an upcoming platform called Pump Fun, most of the responses would be something along the lines of, yeah, that's what we need. We need more people launching shit coins. And some really cool teams have come out of the Pump Fund trenches. I think that anytime you add a distribution or increase access to skills and tools that need allow people to build things, you're going to see a couple of things happen. First, you're going to have more people have ideas come to market, whether or not it's quality is whatever, but it gives people an opportunity to actually see their thing come to life. And Mod.io, something that Daryl mentioned, is a platform that allows you to build games with no or low code. They're not very sophisticated titles, but it's actually pretty cool. I've played around with it in the past. I've had the opportunity to speak with that team. I think it's an interesting platform. I think most of the things that come out of this will be complete garbage. I think like 99.999% of every title that launches on something like indie.fun will be an affront to gaming. It'll be atrocious. They'll be scams. But for the one or two that comes out of the other end as a quality product or an interesting product, I think it's worth it. The other thing that happens with these types of platforms is you increase access to things like launching NFT collections or launching ERC20 or SPL tokens is, believe it or not, it's the fastest and easiest way to educate most users about what to look out for when it comes to things like bad actors. Now, those lessons typically come with their own capital. Julia or Slayer, a friend of ours, a friend of the show, says she calls it her education fund. And I think that that is something that these types of platforms help to expedite. 2 years ago, we had a bunch of teams who would spin up the same reskinned game. They would go to every single NFT PFP collection and they would say, "Hey, we can build you a game for $10,000 and you can market it to your team and you can throw it on your white paper and your roadmap and you're going to sell it $1 million worth of NFT." And fucking everybody fell for it. We don't talk about those types of games anymore because I think that the people who are still here are significantly better educated because we saw a bunch of shit. People who are trading meme coins, you spend 2 or 3 days on pump fund, you learn really quick what to look out for in terms of what's an obvious scam. And I think it does help to expedite both creativity through the distribution of tools, but more importantly education on what to look for in the space. And I do think things like self-serve mint platforms or things like pump fund, while yes they are mostly extractive and full of shit, there are some good things to come out of it. I'll give him the Chad just to stick with the optimistic trend. It probably doesn't work. I would love for it to work, but I don't think that platforms like this, even if they are extractive, are all negative.
Congratulations, guys. You cyber bullied my friend Knock into being optimistic. This is a terrible day for all of Web3 gaming. Let's go over to Will Spangler, then we'll tag you, Jerry.
Yeah, I think to Knox's point, anything that can be used by smart game developers to help them build games is a good thing and can be a good thing. Obviously, most of the games are going to be dog shit. Most of the games on Steam are dog shit. That's just the nature of the industry. But I think it's something new. It's something exciting. It's uh, to be quite frank, I think that the concerns about like copycat games, while valid, just go to the App Store and see that copycat games are running the market at the moment. Basically, every successful mobile game is just a premium game reskinned and pumped to the gills with predatory monetization. And what else is this indie.fun but that? It's just taking games and pumping them with pump.fun. And I think, some people will enjoy that, some people won't. I hope that there are some smart game developers out there who can use it to get a bag and build a game. That's a win for everybody.
Solid take from the kid Wills while I stumble to get the unmute button going. Let's go to Jerry and then to Dub.
Yeah, these guys are Chads, because I've never seen a team so willing to set themselves up for a bunch of lawsuits in the future. Because if even the guys from Pump Fun, I mean, at least they're making a ton of fucking money, and like maybe are getting sued for a reason. At least they can like fund the legal fees. Like these guys are just gonna get sued, and there's gonna be nothing that comes from this. This is all just gonna be like open source, like match three games and infinite runners that none of you guys are playing anyway. So, like we kind of shit on Dookie Dash for years on this game or like on this panel for having like a reskinned version of like another game And like, I don't see why any of us are gonna think that this would be anything different. If you guys shit on that, this is all just gonna be like itch.io developers and like, open source games that come and it's like, oh, but it's got a fucking sappy seal in it. And it's like, what are we doing? How like do we think that this is gonna be the thing that unlocks something for a team that's gonna take them to the heavens and pump a chart? Like, not at all. This is gonna be fucking nothing. There's gonna be not a single game that comes from this, and it may be like one or two, but those teams would have succeeded without this platform. Like, I don't think that talented solo developer that's out there is gonna be like, yeah, what made my journey. The big unlock for me was that I got to sell tokens 3 years early to people, to some dumbasses. Like, this is gonna be an infomercial in 6 years, and you guys are all gonna be in on that. Congrats on the future payment when you guys get $37 and, 250 fucking match 3 games come from this.
Sam,
Yeah,
if I may just add just one
uh,
counterpoint to what Jerry just mentioned. That's what we're doing now with funded teams. We're buying tokens. We're being the dumbass for the majority of teams who come into the space with $10 million worth of VC money and never fucking deliver anything. So it's what you've just described, with the exception of like
Yeah,
30 people, it's the exact same thing today.
we're just skipping the VCs now, and then we're just getting the retails fucked over.
yes, do two wrongs make a right? Like, is lowering the barrier to entry to be extractive the solution to
Yeah, hey,
people being
Sam,
extractive?
when you can't make a fucking left turn in LA, you just make, 3 right turns and you're back to the same place. That's what we're fucking doing.
Oh, amazing analogy. Let's go to Dub and then to Koji.
Yeah, I mean, some people are clearly stuck in thinking in like very short, simple ways, like Jerry here. And before I start, we actually advised the Mod.io team for a little bit at Glitter Cloud before they launched and everything. So love the team, love Jay and everything. And where like you're looking at this from the wrong way is like, this isn't about building a community around a game and a successful game to exist. Like, this is more about creating these short-term limited game experiences as a distribution model for a token in the first place. And I think that's pretty cool. Like, yeah, it's going to be a bunch of endless runners. Yeah, there's going to be some stuff that is pretty shit overall, but like, I would much rather get all my Pepe token because I was played Frogger for 4 hours than, because rather than some dude who sniped it, at a lower market cap than me. Like, I think this is a more fair way to get tokens in general around that meme coin stuff. And that's why, like, I think there's optimism and think these guys are Chads. I got hooked into their original IP game Doomer a bit. I was streaming it to Wolves DAO for a while. There's legs there, but it's definitely like, I don't see any major game that's going to be sustainable for the next like 2 years or 1 year or even months on this platform going. I think with AI churning out games like crazy going forward, like, we're going to have much more games are disposable kind of experiences and less like, this game is going to last forever kind of thing.
Well, then what are we doing still? I mean, nobody's answering my question of like, what does this get us? Like, I appreciate the optimism, but like, Dub, you would get hooked on a fucking Etch a Sketch if you spent three
Then
hundred
it gives
dollars on
me,
it.
and then it gives me, and then that's it, and we fucking move on. And like, if that's what people want to do here, then this is where they're going to do that on. And there are clearly a subset of people that want to be doing that.
I don't know, man. I don't know if just giving people templates to attach to a coin so that they can pretend they're more legitimate is a Chad move. It doesn't feel good from my point of view, but I hope I'm wrong. Let's go over to Koji and then Knock has the hand back up.
I mean, I think a lot of it was already said before I put my hand up. The only thing I'll rebut is that like people, I think it was Will said like, oh, look at Steam. There's a bunch of fucking bullshit games on there. Like, I mean, I mean, at least those are actual games. This like in-engine shit that like we all said in the last topic that we were gonna marry Unity, and now we're like, oh, what we should actually be doing
Yeah,
is
dude.
is launching games on this fucking engine. Like, what are we talking about here? It's insane. Anyway, I love you guys regardless, but like, this is the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. No offense to anybody, and I love you, Dub, especially.
Knock, what say you, bud?
Yeah, it's just comical to me, right? Like, I'm sure plenty of people think Pump Fun is garbage, but you know who doesn't? The majority of the market, like 95% of meme coin or coin volume, is being traded on Solana. 90% user dominance on Solana. And a lot of that is brought on by platforms that people would shit on. I will agree. I don't think this has legs. I don't think it goes anywhere. I would be surprised if we have a game. I want to see a game, and I think that they're chat for trying it with good intentions. It would be great to have a game come out of this, but it probably won't happen. But like us sitting up here pretending like we get to say what the market should or should not do is absurd because the literal token version of this in Pump Fun, it democratized the ability to launch SPL tokens. All you need is a fucking PNG logo and the name of your ticker, and you can launch something, has done wonders for economic activity on Solana that has effects on the entire ecosystem. So I think there's a lot of things that people want to pretend this is the way it should be, this is the way things need to be, but crypto time and time again tells those people to fuck off. We're going to build things. It might work, it might not, but part of the spirit of this space is innovation. So I don't think it's going to work. I would love to be wrong.
Put me in that same bucket there, Knock. All right, we're moving on to the last thing we do at the end of every episode. It's time to pick the MVP among your fellow panelists. Jonah had to drop off as well as Sinjin dropped for a second, but he is back now. With that being said, who's your MVP of the space, Lems?
Whoa, catch me on the spot. I was here trying to figure out how to get Sinjin back in because we've been troubleshooting for the last 10 minutes while Twitter's been rugging him. I'm going to say Jerry, basically for that last point, which I think Phil is going to clip because that was just fucking hilarious. I was like laughing so hard on my PC on that last topic. So great job, Jerry.
Jerry, who's your MVP of the day, bud?
Yeah, thanks, Lems. It's gonna be sort of begrudgingly because he disagreed with me. Knock. Yeah, I love Knock, man. He's a good guy. He drops podcast recommendations and he knows classic Italian dishes. So my MVP is mi fratello Knock.
Knock, who's your MVP? And then Sinjin has the hand up.
You know what's funny? My girlfriend's learning Italian, and she does it with that same weird accent that Jerry just did when he said "fratello." I don't know why that is. MVP definitely Koji. Koji is just like sort of like the middle line. He always pulls us back to center. Calls us out on a lot of bullshit. I think it adds to the conversation in both directions. So it's always Koji for me.
Koji looking for the back-to-back MVPs after taking it home last week. Sinjin, over to you, bud.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Steven. I thought he had some really solid takes, and I got fucking rugged so hard. But I just wanted to say that I think the whatever that game thing is, game indie, whatever indie fun. I think they're chats because I think they're absolutely going to destroy any Web3 gaming sentiment in Solana because all you guys are talking about like maybe one or two fucking hits. Well, when 1,000 traders are down and they think this is fucking dog shit, well, great. I'm fucking happy for it then. And my MVP, yeah, Steven.
Steven, it's been great having you back on the panel, man. We need you more often. Who's your MVP, though?
I gotta give it to the new blood, my boy Daryl. It's his first time.
Let's go.
It's his first time here. I gotta give him some support.
Daryl absolutely crushed it, and I want to hear from him. Daryl, who's your MVP?
Can I do a co-MVP or is that? I don't know the rules. You know, it's my first time.
You splitting it? You doing a 0.5er?
Yeah. Because I feel like Knock had great takes all around, but even though I disagree with Jerry on that last take, that Etch a Sketch comment, man, that was a banger. You know, so I got to give it to Jerry too.
It's also probably true.
Yeah. Out of everybody, Dub has streamed some real terrible games and tried to convince us he was having a fun time. Just real garbage. That's great stuff there, Daryl. The precedent that the 0.5er sets, I don't want anybody else getting any ideas, okay? But it's Daryl's first time. We're going to let it slide. Let's go over to Wills. Wills, who's MVP of the day?
I'm gonna give it to Koji for all the usual reasons, just keeping us in check and all the good stuff.
Turn the fucking burner on, dude. You're just letting gas fill up that house, man.
Jerry triggered from his firefighter days. we'll try to reel him in. The therapy budget grows a little bit every single time I go to somebody. Let's go over to Dub. Dub, who's your pick, bud?
Yeah, first of all, you guys don't get to decide whether or not I'm having fun playing the game. That's purely up to me and how much weed I smoke. So fuck off. And Jerry's going to get MVP because he just spoke right to my soul today. Thanks, Jerry.
Koji, last but not least, give us your MVP, brother.
Yeah, I mean, it was gonna be Knock until he was like, I don't understand why people use that accent for Italian. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Don't you live on planet Earth? So I think my MVP is gonna have to be Daryl because I got to support my buddies at B3, and I think he did pretty good for a first timer because we can kind of bully people around here, and he stuck around. So MVP
Yeah,
Daryl.
you guys can be monsters. And speaking of being a monster, I'm realizing I skipped our boy Michael O'Connor. Michael O'Connor, who's your pick today, bud?
Knock and Jerry were both on fire this evening. Knock, I mean, bringing up Gamecraft, which is like the best podcast on games out there, for sure. Such an amazing, like, just overview of the whole games business. Is a big one. But Jerry, I'm going to give it to Jerry this week because Jerry came in hot with some serious one-liners, and I was on the fence. And that last little gag about turning on the gas at the fire there, that just about took me over.
Well, it was a very competitive MVP voting. No clean sweeps today, but Big Jer Bear, Jerry, the man who bought me dinner last night, is taking home the MVP. No collusion here. Jerry, what do you want to talk about with your 60 seconds of FaceTime?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I did buy Sam dinner. We had gluten-free beer and pizzas. It was amazing. I don't have shit to plug. I don't know.
You sounded
Fucking
so unenthusiastic about it. I'm glad it meant as much to you as it
yeah.
did to me.
No, it was a very touching time. It was a very nice candlelit dinner. That's a true story. The guy came over and lit a candle. I think he thought we were actually on a date. Yeah. I don't have shit to plug. I don't know. DM me if you want your game to have a lot of fucking people playing it. I always hate talking about myself in these moments, so I like to make it about the people building cool shit. Sorry, I called your game Today the Game. It's not Today the Game. It's Yumio. Game 7 does cool shit. Dub does cool shit. Meiji's launching in April. Fucking Koji's doing shit. Support these guys. The show doesn't happen without them, and I just appreciate the time that you guys all give to listening to all of us yap here about dumb shit.
I'm gonna plug. Jerry has been doing spaces on the Arena, the Avalanche app, and they have absolutely been crushing it. They've been getting a ton of viewership. They just got a chance to interview Goon, the founder of AVAX, Imin, which was really really cool. So big shout out to what you guys have done over there. Jerry has his own like ticket that you can buy, and then also they might be spinning out a Telegram or a Discord community or something in the future. So please support Jerry, support what they do over there. If you like this dry, bland humor that somehow is full of life at the same time, you'll love what you get there. And then also find him at the Wolves Den at GDC, which he'll be there and being a fucking weirdo, which is where we met. It'll be our anniversary.
Thanks.
2
It will
years.
be.
2 years, Jerry, coming up on it. Things you love to see. As we
Yeah.
chill out on this captivating conversation, let's give a frosty farewell and a flurry of gratitude to our friends at Avalanche. They're the cool cats of the crypto sphere, the pioneers of the permafrost, and the official blockchain of gamified. Don't be left shivering in the cold. Join Solo Leveling,
All
T1 Esports, Off the Grid, and California DMV, and so many others in making your own Layer 1 blockchain to your very own specifications. Thank you to Avalanche. Did I hear Koji unmute to say something mean?
No, sorry. I didn't realize I was unmuted. I was saying hi to my family because I just got home.
Okay, expected a sarcastic. Sorry, now I feel like I came in hot now that I know it's just your family and you being nice. Okay, I love Koji, by the way. Calling all cosmic crusaders and space farming scoundrels, Star Atlas is about to ignite the gaming galaxy with its pulse-pounding space races where velocity and valor are your keys to victory. Master the maneuvers of magnificent spaceships, mine marvelous minerals, and build an empire that spans the stars. Join the Discord, get a game key, and play the preseason right now to prepare for a year of stellar surprises in 2025. If you haven't been seeing the absolute insane game clips they've been posting, it will blow your mind. Like, it looks frigging gorgeous. Game 7 is also flipping the script on traditional gaming grinds. Forget those greedy gatekeepers holding all the loot. Game 7 is putting their gold where their game is, ensuring 80% of the revenue goes straight back to the players. With over 150 games already on board, Game 7 isn't just pressing continue. They're shattering records and respawning us into a brighter gaming future. So grab your game pads and get ready to conquer the next era of gaming with Game 7 and get in touch with the official infrastructure of Gamified. Also, been cooking some stuff up with Game 7 on the side. Very, 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 very excited to announce some stuff soon. Hopefully you guys will be excited about it too. I know I am. I got to give away this wild pass that's burning a hole in my pocket. It's going to go to somebody brand new. There's somebody in the abstract chat that's been going super hard the entire episode, giving us great comments about the topics. Also, just having a ton of fun with the others. Monty with 2 T's, Montte. If you slide in my DMs, I will make sure that that wild pass finds a home in your wallet. Thank you guys so much for making the episode super, super fun. Thanks for participating while I'm doing this weird live streaming on the side thing. I know it's a little bit chaotic on both ends, but it has been a blast being able to do it with you guys, and the episode has been incredible. Big shout out to Daryl joining us for the first time, and everybody else for being incredible regulars that keep getting invited back every single week. I am forever grateful and appreciative of you guys giving me your amazing time. I can't wait to see you guys again next week, same time, same place, 4 p.m. on Wednesday. 4 p.m. On Monday as well, if you want to join us for Simplified, of course, in Eastern time, and we will see you there. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, hey, good job, Daryl. We're gonna bully the fuck out of you next time, though. We're nice the first time.
Just
It's
the
on
warm
next
up
time.
round, baby.
Yeah, bro, your ass is gonna get roasted, dog.
I'm ready for it, man. Bring it on.
Did this just turn into like a prison all of a sudden? What the fuck is happening?
Yeah, dude. Fucking big dogs are out, baby.
Prison Mike's out, baby. You better watch out.